New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.
What's going on? This is Jailers from Nick of Time Show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And it's time to give you that Knicks talks with the man, the myth, the legend, the guy, the stats, and the facts.
Ryan G is in the building.
That's right, he's in the building. Just coming off flaming a YouTuber from last week's episode. I saw y'all enjoyed that a little bit too much. But tonight, listen, we gonna do something different. We just gonna record. This is the last minute decision. We're gonna record right now. Put it out for you the next day. No graphics, just a little minimum, bare minimum, just to talk about this Russell Westbrook news. That's right. I know y'all want to talk about it. I know y'all want to. The news has been that the Knicks are looking into trading for Russell Westbrook, and we've heard this news earlier in the week, and I really didn't think anything of it. I was just thinking, rumors will be rumors because we have cap space. The Knicks are connected to everybody, right? Ryan, we connected to anybody who is everybody. So I didn't
exactly.
But then the rumors started getting louder, and then it seems like other people who were more reputable started picking it up. And I went, uh-oh. And then Jonathan Macri writes in his newsletter, according to multiple sources, the Knicks have discussed specifics, a package that would bring the 2016-2017 NBA MVP to New York. But the sources indicate that none of the Knicks' key young pieces are on the table. So no RJ, no Mitch. And as far as you can tell, Kevin Knox and Franklin Ntilikina aren't included either, or nor will they be. And neither are any of the Knicks' own draft picks. Things that make you go, So if the deal was to go down, it would include, the Dallas picks and not our own. Now, there's been a lot of debate on Knicks Twitter about, should the Knicks get Westbrook if he is available. Some people will say, if the price is right, bring him here. How do you feel about that, Ryan?
This is a topic where I've been going back and forth on, honestly, since I've heard the news, because anybody who knows me knows today in the NBA, Russell Westbrook is my favorite player. Like, that's my guy right there.
And he's one of my favorite players too. I mentioned that on this program.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like, I understand why the Knicks will go after this move, because Tom Thibodeau is a win-now coach. He's not the type of coach to really want to, develop young players and lose a bunch of games for, like, the first couple of seasons and then, be patient and wait for the team to develop and start winning.
Right.
If Thibodeau's here, he's going to want to win now. So it makes sense that the Knicks are trying to move for a player that's going to help them win now. But here's my thing, though. Westbrook is a volatile player. He's like a special type of player. He needs like a special type of pieces around him to make it work. If you look at the Knicks roster, the way it's currently constructed, like one of the reasons why I thought Westbrook to Houston Rockets was a good move was because Houston Rockets have a bunch of shooters.
Right.
So it's like, with Westbrook on the squad, you're not asking a whole lot of Westbrook because you got Harden there, and then he's just surrounded by a bunch of shooters. You can just ask Westbrook to, handle the ball, drive to the lane, dish out the ball to open shooters. If you can finish at the rim, finish at the rim. It fit with the Rockets. It's just that, the Rockets, they just didn't have a good enough team to beat the Lakers in the playoffs. So now when you look at the Knicks, now it's like, who are the shooters on the Knicks? The Knicks don't really have much shooting at the moment. So it's like, if you bring in Westbrook with like RJ Barrett, Mitch, Frank Knox, etc., like, I feel like as if it's like oil and water, like, because you're going to have Russ on the floor. He's not a threat from three because he's a bad shooter from three. And then you're going to have RJ on the floor as well, where team's not really looking to guard RJ at the 3 either, because RJ hasn't proven himself to be a great 3-point shooter yet. Then Frank is another guy where Frank's 3-point shooting, it needs to get consistent, but it's not consistent yet. So it's like you look at the Knicks plays, like who's gonna take the attention off of Westbrook, really? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For Westbrook to really have the space to operate and things like that. So if the Knicks had a roster where the Knicks had a bunch of shooters and it was just open space, I'd be all for Westbrook. I'd be like, oh hell yeah, bring in Westbrook and then have him just run the show and just dish out to the open shooters and things like that. But the way the Knicks roster is constructed right now, I'm like, I cannot see how it's gonna work. Like, will he bring more wins to the Knicks? Yeah, Westbrook is a great player, but long term, like I don't know. I can't see it.
I agree with you there, Ryan. And to expound on that, it's like, of course, if we bring Russell Westbrook here, Julius Randle and other pieces might be involved in that trade. So we possibly will add some shooters, but the fact remains that our main pieces, the ones we do not want included in the trade, are not shooters. So they will not benefit. Mainly RJ. Mainly RJ will not benefit, because you would think that still Knox. You would still think Knox and Franklin Keenan won't be starting with Russ, but they'll be more coming off the bench. Right, that's one. The only one who really, to me, might benefit from Russell Westbrook might be Mitch Robinson.
Yeah, Mitch. Yeah.
Everybody else, it might be a little funky fit. And also, when you think about what happened last year with Julius Randle and Marcus Morris, RJ never really got to see the ball. So he was frustrated a lot last season because he's passed over when he was wide open. Now, I've been listening to some commentators talking about the importance of having a winner on the squad, and how Russ is going to hold people accountable, and he's going to scream on people, and he's going to tell people to get in your place, and da-da-da-da-da. And I do get that. It just seems like there's other parts of his game, and just the money itself that can kind of hinder some of the good things that he brings to the table. The argument is right now that RJ can learn from watching Russell Westbrook, because he has the work ethic and he has the drive, and I get that, but he needs to touch the ball at some point. And I think there's more than one way to skin a cat too. Like, I don't think you need to necessarily have a super all-star guard here to show young Knicks work ethic and what to do. Like, I get that theory. It helps if that's possible, but that's not always the formula. And I know Alan Hahn was saying that on Sweeney's show. Shout out to you guys. But his thing was saying, if you have a guy like Russ screaming at these guys that and taking the pressure off RJ to score, that it's going to bring them along even better, and that the losing is not really good for the young franchise, because it's going to get to their mind and then they're going to implode. Me personally, I don't think RJ is made that weak. I don't think he has that mindset where he's going to implode. I feel like he'll adjust, and if we get more vets that complement his game more, then he eventually elevate. And to be real too, not every superstar all-star had an all-star teaching them. If you listen to some pods, or even look at the Golden State Warriors, or you look at the Supersonics where Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant was, they started off being a 20-win team. They sucked for years when they were Supersonics before they even turned to the Thunder. They had solid vets there showing them the ropes, but they didn't have people taking the pressure off them. No, the pressure was on them. So I don't necessarily think you need to have an all-star player to take the pressure off you. I feel like if you have the right coaching staff and the right vets to show you work ethic, work habits, you can still get there. Keep your touches, because I want RJ and those guys to get you touches, and still, be good and go to the next level and grow into the role. So, yeah. Now, even today, with as good as Russ is now, it seems like the Rockets are having a problem trying to move him. And he's averaged 27 points a game last season. That should be easy to move a guy like that. But the size of his contract is just too hefty at $47 million a year. And if it's hard to move him now, imagine that third year, like when we realize we've hit a wall and his athleticism is even more on a decline, and we're trying to move him and get RJ and Mitch some help, and they're screaming at us like, what can we do? Like, we might have to end up attaching the asset to get rid of Russ at that point, which is crazy to think. You know what I mean? So that's something to think about. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a guy who doesn't fit perfectly with our team, who's only good to just show people how to work, and that's it. I think we could find another player who can show people a work ethic for a lot cheaper than $47 million. That's my biggest argument for not to have Russ. Now, the Chris Paul thing. If Chris Paul happens to shake out, I'm all for it. If the deal for Chris Paul is kind of what I mentioned before, where you're not using your own picks, we're keeping our young guys, maybe knock some on the fence about. I flip flop on that. Especially I heard Alan Hahn talking about how NBA players used to pick on Knox last season because of his defense, and they was calling him out, and he was like a deer in headlights, and that had a lot to do with why he was playing so bad last season. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me like shake my head. It's like, come on, Knox, man, get it together. Like, I need you to be tough. But I still feel like we can get it done at the end of the day without an all-star player like Russ tying our books down.
Yeah. The only thing I gotta add is that, like, yeah, I do understand what you're saying about the OKC situation where, Durant, Russ, guys like that, they didn't really have, like that all-star player to be around them that, to show them how to, work hard and, what it takes to be a professional, things like that. But at the same time, though, like, the reason why it worked out is because Durant and Westbrook are special players. Like, they ended up being,
right,
those once-in-a-lifetime players that come along and they just have all the tools to be great. Like, the Knicks haven't been lucky enough yet where they draft a player and it's like, this player's really special. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So,
of course,
from that standpoint, it's like, maybe the Knicks do need that extra, oomph, maybe.
Right.
From an all-star player, but from the same standpoint, it's like you want the right all-star player. You know what I mean? If you're gonna really add it to the Knicks roster, if you want the young guys to grow.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
I get it. I get that too. But it's like, how do you know if they special if you don't let them touch the ball? Like, they were losing for the first few years. They had 20 losses, 40. Like, they didn't make the playoffs for the first few years.
Yeah.
First year, Russell averaged 15 points a game, 16 points a game. That's what RJ's averaging now.
That is true.
So, you know what I mean? So, and they played through it. You looking at Ja Morant, like I'm saying, Ja Morant is a special player. He made it. He's on the bubble. He's a special player. But I don't think that's the only I don't think the only blueprint is getting an all-star player here. Now, if you can, if you can get an all-star player here, that's a plus. If you can, and it fits the style of play of the pieces around them, to me, that's more ideal, and that's why Chris Paul makes more sense than anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just not on the Russell. As much as I like it, for the Scorpio, November 12th birthday, day after mine. Shout out to you. I love the guy. This is MVP, assist, dog, I love that. But everybody's gonna be clogging the paint. RJ's gonna be clapping his hands in the corner trying to get the ball. It's gonna be more. let RJ run, man. Let him run. And if you can, I understand getting somebody else to take the pressure off from scoring, but it needs to be a little bit of a balance. Like, Russ has one of the highest usage rates in the NBA. Let somebody else try something.
Yeah, I mean, Russ averages over 20 shots a game, so I mean that's gonna be less shots going around for everybody else. So
exactly. Now, I also heard a theory that the Knicks might be using the Russell Westbrook situation to kind of like drive down the price for Chris Paul. Now, if that's the case, I'm liking it. I'm liking the new psychological games that you're playing. I hope that's the case. I really do.
New York, big city of dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.